Lions are for lions. Blue and silver prize with the podcast we're rolling. Take that ride. Rise and grind. Detroit's calling out. Yeah. Football dreams in every shout. Tune in, feel the energy ignite. Oh, rise and grind, take flight. Each play, each kick, we feel alive, alive. Echoes in the city as the fans arrive. Heart of the motor in this green. We're bound together by football dreams. Rise and grind, Detroit's calling out. Yeah. Football dreams in every shout. Tune in, feel the energy ignite. Oh, rise and grind, take flight. Hey, feel the unity, the proud selected five. There, under the stadium lights, where legends thrive. Every touchdown, we're close to clock west. In Detroit, we stand. Get down there. Rise and grind, Detroit's calling out. Yeah. Football dreams in every shout.
All right. Welcome into the very, very late postgame show. Your Detroit Lions have done it. We have won the 1 seed. We have capitalized on being back-to-back champions of the NFC North. And as my shirt says, super excited, and I know I've got a guest here. Well, not a guest, a co-host who's with me. He's going to be joining us here in just 1 second. Matter of fact, let's just bring him in right now. Eric, what's happening, man? We had an epic night last night in Detroit watching these Lions win and do the unthinkable, do the undone, something that we've never done before, which is a 1 seed and back-to-back championships. I can only imagine how you felt last night.
Oh, my God. You know I haven't slept yet.
That doesn't surprise me. I know you headed home last night to try to do the show this morning, and of course I had nothing but OBS problems, so yeah, that's crazy that you haven't slept yet. But you know, I had the same problem, so I went to lay down last night. It was probably 1:30, and I'm just tossing and turning like, they really just did that. And I keep thinking of all these plays and Jahmyr hitting the end zone 4 times, and it's like, wow. And just watching what the Lions did, I mean, this was the best defensive performance I think I've ever seen. It was that good. And we're going to get into a few things. So just so you guys understand, he hasn't been to bed. I really haven't been able to prep. So we're going to do our best right now, but I am probably going to get back on tonight with a little bit more prep. And then obviously tomorrow morning. And I know Riley really wants to come on because he's been clipping some things that I've been talking about. And he really wants to talk about some of these things. And I know I'm going to mention one. But first, I want to start with this, Eric. There was a headline, and when I read it this morning, well, first of all, let me just do this first. First and foremost, I got to stop for just a second. I have to say, congratulations to everybody that watches this, that's a Lions fan, everybody that is in the chat right now. You guys all deserve the biggest, warmest applause on earth, man. You guys have been so supportive of your Detroit Lions, and the way that our fan base really showed out last night, loudest I think I've ever actually heard, but just on it from snap to whistle, from first play to last play, we really stepped up. So big round of applause to all the One Pride family. And Eric, congratulations to you. 15-2 was your mark for the season. We couldn't get it done at 14-3 because we needed week 18. So thankfully, your crystal rubbing or whatever you got going on up there in Brimley is working. So congratulations to you two getting the call of the year.
Yeah, I wore my special Magic Rock bracelet to the game, and it worked 2 weeks in a row.
Well, I haven't changed my underwear in about 3 weeks, so I figured that would help.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, so I saw this headline. Well, there is something funny though. I do wear the same boxers that I wear to every single game. The same color, same everything. They're just clean. You know what I mean?
So do I. Yeah. And I have ones that have Rory on them. Rory the Lion.
I bet you do.
They're my special game day Rory underwear. I wear them every week. Once a week.
So I read this headline. I didn't read the article, but I read the headline, and it said Lions chose violence. And I'm like, yep, that's what it was last night. And matter of fact, I personally think the 49ers game woke these Lions up in a good way, because Terrian got manhandled. He wasn't happy. Kirby was pissed off that Terrian got manhandled. And I'm sure at some point, some people probably watched the video that went bonkers, like 60,000 views in a couple of days, of highlighting all of these helmet-to-helmet contact plays against the Lions. And I guarantee you, I mean, they already knew. They were in the game. They didn't need the video, but you know what I'm saying. It gets talked about. And matter of fact, a lot of Vikings fans watched that video. Some Vikings that I spoke with last week watched that video, and they commented that they couldn't believe it. So I think that game woke them up. Because what the 49ers did is they played with violence, but I felt it was more intentional to try to injure. Not just violent, good, football plays, but something, different altogether. So here's how I'm going to go with this, and I want to get your reaction too. So Amik Robertson. Now, my biggest call of the week happened with Thor Nystrom last week when I had him on the show, and I said that if I was the coach, this is what I would do with defense. Mm-hmm. And I said that I would put Amik Robertson on Justin Jefferson. Now, I said I would put my worst cornerback on Justin Jefferson, but that's not what I meant. Like, he's not the worst cornerback. He's just cornerback too. Poor choice of words. That I would put Amik on Jefferson, and then I would shade him, double him, and then I'll go too high safety, and I put Terrian on Addison. And that's exactly what the Lions did last night. Exactly what they did last night. Now, Amik, he called out Ryan Clark before the game. He called out some old coaches and teammates and saying that, all the people that doubted him, Amik wanted this assignment. He wanted to go in and be violent. He wanted to get his hands on Jefferson, and he did from the jump. He was jamming Jefferson immediately off the line, hands up underneath his jaw, and he set the tone right then and there. I think he deflated Jefferson, but there was a play right after that where Jefferson is like doing this. Come on, get up on the line, and Amik was back like 8 yards, and Amik's just kind of shrugging at him like, whatever. But Jefferson wanted the smoke, and he got the smoke. Matter of fact, he got smoked all night. They all did. It was a hell of a game. And you know what? Big ups to the Vikings fans this morning at breakfast. You guys are great. And it was a phenomenal season for both teams. One of us had to finish in first place. It just so happened to be us, and we brought the house last night. What an epic game, Eric. But when you saw these matchups happening during the game, what'd you think? What'd you think about the Lions being so violent last night?
I loved it. This is the defense we needed to see all year. Yeah. This was far and away the best defensive defense that we've put on the field all year. I don't care who was out there, who wasn't out there. This was the best defense Aaron Glenn has ever put on the field for an entire game.
And you know what's crazy is we were down 12 guys on IR, 16 I think total, but 12 guys on IR, all defense.
Yeah.
It's insanity to me.
It is. And to other teams, it's an excuse. To us, it's not. It's literally next man up. I don't give a darn who's next to me. Let's go. And somebody was saying, when the Lions get a bad call and somebody throws a flag, Dan Campbell has the ref come over, and the ref will give him the explanation. Dan will go, all right, next play. And everybody's like, why isn't he kicking and screaming and blah, blah, blah? And why doesn't he use that as an excuse at the end of the game? Nope, I didn't have my guys prepared. This one was on me. Nothing to do with the refs. Refs were fine. Even though the refs snob jobbed you like in Dallas, right?
Well, they did big time yesterday too. Yeah,
well, and then the players, they see that. They see, oh, coach doesn't care if we get a bad call. Let's keep going.
Yep.
So it rubs off on all of his players, and it just makes it a magical team that it's us against everybody. It's us against the refs. It's us against the other team, against their coaches, everybody. It's us against everybody.
And I think last night too, when Amik was lined up on Jefferson, he set that tone right away. And I think that it got into Jefferson's head. I think right away it was, it was grimy, it was gritty, it was tough nose, it was hands-on, it was violent defense, and Jefferson isn't used to that. He's used to guys, playing off into some sort of a zone coverage. He's not getting a ton of man, and then he's just burning by guys and catching some deep balls, and he's kind of had that luxury, all season with Sam Darnold. And the minute that you take Jefferson away, and I'm going to go back and clip, and if you guys haven't watched, go back and watch the NBC former NBC expert, draft expert Thor Nystrom's interview from last week talking about the game, because in there, that's where I talked a little bit about what I would do for the defense and kind of what I've expected for our defense last week. And I know Riley wants to point some of that stuff out, so we'll do that later in the week too. But they did exactly everything that I expected them to do. It was not so much that we were rushing from the end position, the defensive end position. We were using everything through the center of this defense. We were sending our linebackers, which I expected us to do. We were bringing more DBs in, which I expected us to do, and it worked. And for everybody that keeps saying that we need pass rushers, last night should tell you everything that you need to know about interior pressure on an offensive line. We didn't expect, that without Carlton Davis that we were going to be able to hold these receivers the way that we did. But Terrian called it out from the beginning of the week. He said, this is a bad matchup for the Minnesota Vikings. And everyone started to, chirp at Terrian like, why are you talking like this? Jefferson's scorched us for all these yards, the last several seasons. But Terrian knew from week 7 that we played, Terrian knew. I mean, Jefferson only went for 86 yards that game. He knew that there was a new plan coming, and this was a brand new defense that we saw last night that we really haven't seen this whole season. So congratulations to Aaron Glenn. You all but solidified your head coaching position, and we'll get into some of that too. Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn have already been offered some head coaching interviews, so I'm not expecting these guys to be around, but we still need to enjoy the rest of the season, but they're going to be interviewing this week during their bye. Anything you want to add before I walk into a few other things?
Man, it was nice to have Thor back last night, the Viking Slayer.
Yes.
He made all the difference in the world yesterday. Just him being out there, flying around to the ball. And man, I didn't know that he knew Hawkinson quite that well. He knew where Hawkinson was going to go before Hawkinson did.
Yep.
And
they used to go at it all the time in practice.
Yeah, and he was everywhere with him, man. The old man schooled the young guy yesterday, that's for sure.
I said it last week that Anzalone's presence just in practice is enough, right? Getting him on the field as the captain of the defense is probably an exact quote, same thing I said last week. Being the captain of the defense coming back, the quarterback of the defense, putting him back in, whether it was a low snap count, which it wasn't. He played in all but 1 snaps last night. And he said that if I'm going to play, I'm going to play. That's just who I am. And keep in mind, and I guess I didn't think about this long enough, he's coming back with fresh legs. So he was more than ready to go. He obviously was a game ball winner last night for good reason. Had a crazy good game for coming back in. I mean, he led this defense to play the way that it did, coordinating everybody and where they need to be. And I'm sure that Alex has had a little bit more time to watch some tape, right? He was definitely prepared for what was coming up once we knew, who these matchups were going to be here at the end of the season. He knew. He's probably been watching Week 18 tape for several weeks while he was in rehab. Just knowing that game is coming to Ford Field and what it could mean, you could tell that he was prepared. He had this defense in every right situation possible. We gave up a couple. We had a few 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 bad calls by the refs or no calls by the refs. And I am going to highlight that. I'm not going to talk about it today, but I am going to go through and do a video and talk about the refs. And I hope that this video does well, because what I witnessed last night and what I witnessed this morning, rewatching the game on the ride home. No, I wasn't driving. Yeah, I was. It pointed out a few things to me. Some things that I needed to see on tape from what I saw at the game last night. I'll just put it this way. I was really disgusted with the way that these refs handled themselves last night. It was almost like they had blinders on purpose. It almost feels like, and I hate to use this term, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to use that term in the video, because what I saw doesn't make sense. But I don't want to spend my time talking about the refs, because you know what Dan Campbell has done? And Eric, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think that Dan has taken this everybody hates Detroit or it's Detroit versus everybody narrative. It seems like we always get the shit calls or the no calls, the bad refs, the bad matchups, the bad schedule, the bad bye weeks, whatever it is. And Dan is like, look, just beat the other team by putting up a ton of points. Beat the other team by not allowing the other team to score a touchdown. That's how you're going to win. And if the NFL has some script for the Lions, if they're trying to keep games close, which it appeared was happening last night, they're trying to keep it close. Dan says, screw all that.
Yep.
We're going to do what we want to do. We're going to run up the score if we have to run up the score because we can't trust you guys. So, Dan Campbell, last night, if Dan Campbell doesn't go for it on fourth down like he does, last night's first touchdown probably doesn't happen for the Detroit Lions. So it's fourth and, I don't know, what was it, fourth and six or whatever it was. We hit J-Mo, off the right side on a crosser, right? And he gets a first down, and Jared stays in the pocket, takes a wicked hit. We get the first down, and then they go and line up, and then there goes Jahmyr on one of the most beautiful runs I've seen all season. He had a nice big hole through the center, and then as he's working up to the left to the next, tier of blockers, I think it was Harrison Smith that was coming down, and Smith wanted no part. Like, he knew he was about to get put on skates. And then it closed up, and Jahmyr just squirted through, man, into the end zone like a 30-yard TD. Just beautiful to watch. But that doesn't happen without Dan Campbell setting that up all season. So, first touchdown, walk me through it. Eric, what do you think?
Well, on my drive home, I listened to every podcast, rewatched the entire game. I had 6.5, 7 hours to drive. And so I watched a lot of stuff. And one thing that they were talking about is Jahmyr Gibbs for Offensive Player of the Year.
He should be now.
He's got 20 touchdowns, more than anybody else. And he was second fiddle for 90% of the season. And he's putting up numbers nobody's even coming close to. And
20 TDs, man. Like, seriously?
Just amazing. So I forgot about something. I forgot that I made 2 substantial bets on Jahmyr Gibbs to win Offensive Player of the Year. So this might make me all my money for my playoff tickets if he gets it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted you to walk me through the first play there or the first touchdown and kind of what you were seeing leading up to that first touchdown call where.
Well, at first it was back and forth, we have a series, they have a series. We have a series, they have a series. Nobody's scoring, nobody's doing anything. And then all of a sudden I was like, the sky's about to open. And it did. But only for a split second. And then in the second half, that was when it finally went nuts. But I'm telling you, I have never heard any stadium, Ford Field, the Silverdome, anywhere as loud as it was last night.
Oh, it was rocking, man. It was buzzing for sure.
Yeah, and I do have to say something. Thank you to the Wilfs for spending $2 million on tickets and letting their ticket holders that bought those cheap tickets sell them back to Lions fans, because I took pictures behind that Vikings bench. Mm-hmm. There was not 2,000 Vikings fans over there. I'm sorry.
No, there was maybe 150, and they were really spread out.
I said maybe 200. And I took pictures for proof for all these people online say there was 2,000 Viking fans. There was not 2,000 Vikings fans there.
I'm dead across from 105. You were just down in 101, so we could see it.
Yeah, they were not there. I don't care what any Vikings fan in the world says. There was not 2,000 of them there.
Next time, for the Vikings organization, why don't they just make a $2 million donation to the Lions charity? Because that's pretty much,
food bank or something.
What they did. So, all right, let's break down some stats of what happened last night. Week 18. And I thought this was kind of fitting, right? So last season, the Lions get the first game of the season against the Chiefs. and we win. This season, we get the last season, or the last game of the season, 272nd game of the season, and we win. We won the first, we've won the last, both national audiences. The Lions are just, I mean, they can't be stopped on primetime TV. But last night, according to NFL Pro, which their numbers are way off compared to PFF, so we'll have to see what the difference is, the Lions also put up the most pressures of Week 18. 22 pressures on Sam Darnold. Now, they say that he has about 3.18 seconds of time to throw, but if you look at how the Lions play defense last night, it was the interior pass rush, right? Then we would throw a linebacker on a blitz, or we'd, walk down a safety on a blitz. But then the defensive ends would kind of wrap back around and then start to collapse, and then they would rush. It was like a two-tiered rush, if you will. It was interior, edges contain, which is what I was hoping they were going to do. Just contain the guy, stop the run with Jones, and then they would start to fire in. It was almost like they were doing a delayed stunt, but a really delayed stunt, and it worked. So NFL Pro says 22 pressures. PFF said, oh, where'd it go? I must have accidentally closed it. Hold on. I think PFF said 33. Yeah, here we go.
Oh,
PFF says the Lions had 33 pressures last night on Sam Darnold. 2 sacks. I thought we had more than 2 sacks. But 9 quarterback hits, 22 hurries, 2 sacks, which totals 33 pressures. That's insanity. 33 pressures in one night. Absolutely crazy. Sam saw ghosts last night. He got rattled and he just couldn't, he couldn't focus. He didn't know where it was coming next. The AG was mixing it up so well last night. Sam Darnold didn't know where it was coming next. Huge game. Me overthrowing all night long. Just really, really made the game fun to watch for once that this Lions defense woke up. If this is a defense that we're going to have throughout the playoffs, I am not worried about anybody. Not one team. Not one. All right, what else do you want to add before I jump into a couple of topics?
That was absolutely epic last night. My ears are still ringing. I'm amazed I have a voice today because I screamed my butt off last night. And yeah, yesterday was just absolutely incredible. If you guys have not watched my video that's going viral right now, you need to go to my Facebook and watch my latest reel, my last reel that I just put up. It's of all the Lions fans going Skol.
Oh yeah, that was fun last night.
Skol at the end of the game. The whole friggin' stadium did it. It was awesome. And then my wife, she comes and talks to me this morning. She's like, did you see all those Vikings fans on your reel there? Like, I had like 110 comments on there. And I'm like, no, I haven't looked at it yet. She's like, they're all crying on there because you guys did this goal chant. And she even thought it was funny.
Well, I didn't say skull. I said scolded because they got scolded last night. So that's what I said. I said scolded. I didn't want to do their little dance. But it's all nothing but love, man. I got nothing but love for the Vikings fans. They're great people. The majority of them are. We all have bad apples.
Yeah. Listen, my best friend in the whole world is a diehard Lion or a diehard Viking fan. And we were going back and forth at it all week long, telling each other the other one was going to lose. And I'm like, dude, I'm confident. I'm telling you, they're going to win. Oh, I don't know. So first thing I did was picked up my phone right after the game and give him a call and rub it in. And the first thing I said was, Skol! Right in the phone at him.
Oh, it's good to have bragging rights for the next year. I appreciate the compliments in there from Trace and Mike P. Trace is saying that I've always said that before the season started, that it would take interior linemen to get pressure, not the edge, like everyone else was screaming. And Mike P, crush the can, boys, just like Will always says. And I'm not the only one that knows this stuff. I just have seen what works, and I've seen what works with AG's style of defense and what we were missing to make it work. And it worked last night. I mean, it's been working all season. How has it been working since week 6 when we've lost all of these people? I mean, I think it's a mentality, right? Everybody in that building has bought in to everything. And just like Eric was saying earlier, they don't care if somebody goes down. It's not that they don't care personally, right? I mean, of course they feel bad for their teammate, but they don't care because they know whoever's waiting is going to come in and they're going to do their job. And they're going to do their job at a high level. And you know what? We may make mistakes from time to time, but by the end of the game, if we have more points on the board than they do, that's all that matters. But last night was a display of a defense that I haven't seen in a long time, and I hope it carries us through the rest of the playoffs. All right, so playoff bracket. Big questions last night. What's going to happen? Where are the Lions at? Well, obviously we're in the 1 seed, so now we're guaranteed to play the lowest seed out of the wild card weekend. And right now that's, either Green Bay or Washington or the Vikings or LA. If one of those teams wins, obviously if Green Bay beats Philly, that would be great. Then we would be taking on Green Bay. If Washington beats the Bucks, then we would be taking on Washington. If the Vikings spank LA, which I'm kind of expecting, maybe not. Maybe we had the Honolulu Blue flu all season. Maybe since they just got their asses kicked, they might not have a great week this week and may show up flat in LA because now they have to travel.
What happened to the Vikings the last time they played us?
They lost the next week, didn't they?
They lost to the Rams the following week.
Oh, no, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like deja vu.
It's exactly the same. And it's going to get in their heads.
Wow. So, look, Minnesota's a good team. Great team. And I thought last night, and I know a lot of people think that Minnesota's defense is really good, and I do too. I mean, I think that their linebacker core is some of the best linebackers in the game. Matter of fact, Ivan Pace, that dude has now picked off Jared Goff twice and almost had a second pick 6 last night. And I do want to talk about Jared Goff here for a moment, or in a moment, but we need to get a linebacker like that next season. We have to in the draft. We need another linebacker that can play like the Van Ginkels, like the Pace, like the Cashman. We need some linebackers. With Anzalone around, yeah, I mean, I have some confidence, but he's only going to get older, and we need someone that can, grow with Jack Campbell and somebody that can help elevate the middle of our defense. Because as we've seen, when the middle of this defense is in trouble, personnel-wise, it's kind of tough. They're like the glue that keeps the front line and the secondary together, right? I mean, they're smack in the middle, and they're that glue. They're responsible for everything in that middle zone. So we need to get some linebackers on this team ASAP next season. So look, I'm not saying that I'm worried about any team in the playoffs. I'm really not. I would love to see the Chiefs in a Super Bowl. I would love to see it. I'm not afraid of the Texans again. I think that the second time, I think that we're going to show them who we are again. But in our own conference here, in the NFC, who are you worried about right now, Eric?
Nobody.
Not even the Eagles? Not even a little bit?
Nope.
If we have the defense that we had from last night, I would say that I wouldn't be worried either. But we're talking about Saquon Barkley, and what he's been able to do this season has just been incredible. If we can keep him under 80 yards, I'd say that's a win.
Yep.
I'd say that's a win. But anyway, we'll see what happens next week, man. Football's on another week. It's going to be fun. We'll be live streaming some games, and we'll have some fun with it. So anyway, Lions chose violence. Playoff bracket. There's really not much to talk about here other than the Lions. We're playing the lowest seeded. Winner of next week. Injury updates. So we had a few injuries last night. We lost Pat O'Connor. We lost Kevin Zeitler and Terrion Arnold. Now, Terrion Arnold was carted off. I think that was an abundance of caution. He was in a walking boot after the game, but he also said after the game that he's planning on playing in 2 weeks. That, the x-rays were negative. I read that this morning, but there hasn't been any other conversation that I've seen online as to, are they going to MRIs next? Is it soft tissue? From what I heard, it was Muhammad, his friendly fire, that stepped on Tarian's foot. So I don't know if this is just a cleat that went through, or in between some of the metacarpals there, and he's got a really bad bruise, or what. I have no idea. And I'm hoping that information is even correct, because it's so early in this. What we're reading early may change by tomorrow. So hopefully he's okay. The fact that he got stepped on and this wasn't a non-contact injury, when he went down, after the tackle, I thought maybe it's something that happened, like his cleat got stuck. Couldn't see because it was right down in front. Couldn't see where he was. He was so close to the sideline. So that's good news. If it, negative, meaning no broken bones, but you really can't see all the tissue. So you don't know, ligament wise or anything like that, what's going on. So we'll be paying attention to that one, see what happens. Now, Zeitler pulled up. This is what burns me up. And I know that we can't rest players. We can't just pull players out all the time. We had a sizable lead. I saw Mahogany in the game. I'm like, oh, cool. Dan, put Mahogany in. He's, pulled some players. No. It was because Kevin Zeitler pulled up lame on a hammy. Pulled a hamstring in the last possession last night. Now, I know we can't predict injuries. You can't worry about injuries. You're going to have to play the players to play the players. But this one's big. Kevin Zeitler's been the best run blocker in the NFL this season, in my opinion. He's stand up right next to Penei Sewell. Mm-hmm. So we need him. A large part of what Jahmyr Gibbs is able to do is his responsibility. And then Pat O'Connor, I just don't have any information on Pat. Do you have any information on Pat?
None. I didn't even see him come out of the game.
Yeah, Pat O'Connor went down. Let's see if I can look for it again.
It was a little crazy there last night, though, so it was kind of hard to pay attention to everything that was going on.
It was a calf injury. Here we go.
Yeah.
He had a calf injury, and that was at, 8:35 p.m.? So it was just shortly after the game started? Is that correct? Has to be. Or just shortly after the game. So it was like sometime in the second quarter, maybe first quarter?
Yeah.
I don't know. But he's been playing incredibly well. So it's not somebody that I look forward to being out. And if it's a calf injury, let's just hope that it's, contusion-like and nothing that is, more sinister than that. Let's see here. Lauren McQuaig says, I thought the foot was stepped on by Muhammad, but watching the replay, he caught Arnold's foot, which didn't seem like much. It looked like an Achilles sprain. Ooh, that wouldn't be good. All right. Well, I'm going to get back to watching tape later on today because I didn't get to watch all the, slowed down versions. So let's talk about Ben Johnson for a second.
Mm-hmm.
When this team came up into his queue for potential head coach,
yep,
my stomach just started to turn. So, quote, Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson will interview for the Patriots and Bears head coaching jobs during this week's bye. A sign that he has real interest in both jobs, according to Tom Pelissero. We cannot have Ben Johnson in Chicago. Absolutely cannot.
I got a great big butt to put in there.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Something happened this morning. Doug Peterson from the Jacksonville Jaguars was fired this morning. So that's Ben's dream job. We've been saying it all year. Going to Florida. It's warm. No taxes. See you later, Ben.
I think that Jacksonville makes a better opportunity for him. I think that Chicago is, it's a cluster, you know what? It's a complete mess.
Yeah, and they're not getting rid of Poles. It's going to be Poles there doing Poles things.
I don't think that Ben Johnson wants to walk into a complete nightmare with a team that just is so disorganized. I think that, from what I read about Ben Johnson is that he wants to know that from the organizational top down, that they know what their problems are and that they want to correct all of them and they're willing to correct all of them. Hence what Sheila did. So Sheila She walked in with a plan saying, look, we know what we're doing wrong. But to know everything, we need to hire the right people to come in and consult us on what we need to do. And then in comes Chris Spielman and others, and they figure it all out. This is what we need to do. Top to bottom, we need to scrap it all and start over. And that's what they did. And I think that that's what Ben Johnson's looking forward to, especially with a team like Chicago or like the Jets, you know, that or the Browns that just have these major issues like the Lions had for so many decades. He wants to know that they can fix it from the top down. And I think that Jacksonville is more willing to do something like that. And I don't think they have as many issues as Chicago does, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So he would have Drake May. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, he would have Drake May in New England, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Caleb Williams in Chicago. Lawrence in Jacksonville.
Yep.
I mean, that's not a bad fit. I think that Lawrence makes much more sense.
He does. He's not a rookie or going into his second year. You know, he's been around. He's on his second contract. You got a lot more tape on him. You know what works well for him, what doesn't work well for him. You're going to be able to mold that offense a little easier than you could with the other two.
I would agree. So let's talk about Aaron Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
So Aaron Glenn has received 3 offers for interview.
Oh, really? I only knew 2.
I think it was 3.
Jets and the Saints.
It was Jets, the Saints, and I thought somewhere else. Bears.
Oh, really? I didn't know about
the Bears requested Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn.
Oh, wow.
So he's got 3 offers. I think the Saints is probably where he's going to head. That's something that we've been talking about for a little bit too, that would make the most sense. He's got a relationship there. Yeah. He's been there. He knows what that city's all about. He knows what the ownership's all about. I think that job probably makes the most sense for him down in New Orleans. It's kind of funny, right? Like when you think about where Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn came through and Sean Payton, and now Sean Payton's in Denver. They had a crazy, terrible year last year. Now they're in the playoffs. Lions are in the playoffs 2 seasons in a row. But now you've got these, you know, former coaches that worked under Sean Payton that are going to end up potentially back in the place where it all started for them. You know, like for them working together. You know, you could see Aaron Glenn back in New Orleans. It's just interesting, man, how all this stuff just kind of pans out. But anyway, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on these guys until we get some more concrete information, which is going to be coming this week as these guys are going to be interviewing this week. I would say that I wish them the best of luck, but I hope that all 3 teams blow it. Honestly, yep. I hope they all blow it, and they can't get their head out of their you-know-what. So let's talk about Jahmyr Gibbs here for a moment, man.
Okay.
Jesus. 4 touchdowns last night.
I know.
Completely led this offense. All Jahmyr last night. Now, obviously, you know, J-Mo made his plays, and Amon-Ra made his plays, and Sam Laporta made his plays, but it was the Jahmyr Gibbs show. Not only did he break, or he's the only Lions player to lead the entire NFL in TDs scored in a single season since the 1970 AFL and NFL merger. He's number 1 on the list. Jahmyr Gibbs, 20 in 2024. Barry Sanders, 17 in 1961. And Billy Sims, 16 in 1980. It's kind of nuts, isn't it? The only Lions players to lead the entire NFL in TDs scored in a season since the merger. Jahmyr Gibbs last night kind of got off to a slow start. I was a little worried. It seemed like he was having a little bit of difficulty, and then things started to work out.
He took that one hit over the middle, and he went down on the knee, and then he went off and sat on the bench. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. So last night when that happened, I heard this morning that David Montgomery walked up to him, and that was Van Ginkel that, you know, Jared Goff threw a hospital ball to Jahmyr Gibbs. I hate that play. You guys know that.
Yeah.
That is the play that I hate. That's one of the plays that I hate is that one. And then it's the far reaching one, out to the boundary there, either side. And those are pick balls. Those are the worst plays that Ben Johnson calls. It is not a good play for Jared Goff. They rarely work, maybe 3% of the time on this team. But anyway, he throws a hospital ball. Jahmyr Gibbs gets, planted by Van Ginkel. Montgomery comes up to Gibbs last night on the bench. How you doing? And Gibbs like, I'm straight. I'm ready to go. I'm straight. Those exact words. I'm straight. Kid is durable, man. I did not expect this out of Gibbs, but have you ever watched how he stands behind the line? I didn't really recognize this until last night. So this whole season and last season, I never recognized this.
Straight up and down.
He's straight up. He's just kind of chilling like, where am I going? Over here? Over there? So he stands just like, He's not like, Barry Sanders got his, hands on his knees, leaning forward in a, ready position. No, he's just chilling. Just chilling. I'm just going to drop 150 and 4 tutties. Give me a second. Take my little siesta, and then once the ball gets hiked, I'll do some work. It's just crazy watching this guy work. So last night, let me get into his stats, man. Let me get into his stats. Super impressive. Just insanity of plays last night that went to him, to just the explosive plays that he does, and the way that he runs, it's so patient, yet it's so, how do I say it? He's so patient yet so decisive. He knows where to hit the holes, and he's so shifty. It's like I don't even know how to put words to it, to be honest with you, because he runs in a way like it's like a flash of left to right or right to left that just, it's like a hesitation, but it's not a hesitation. I don't even know how to put words to it, but I'm going to show you guys, because we're actually going to do tape review on this one. I'm going to show you guys what I mean, and you guys can put words to it. I just can't put words to it. So Jahmyr Gibbs last night, 23 carries, 139 yards, 3 TDs on the ground. And passing game, he also was electric. Five catches, 31 yards, 6.2 average through the air with a touchdown. He averaged 6 yards a carry last night. And the other guy that I want to give a big hand to last night was Craig Reynolds. Craig has learned a ton behind Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Watching him develop over the last couple of seasons, he is a much different runner this season. He is so patient behind the line. And that is something that Jahmyr Gibbs and I think that David Montgomery, a little lesser of the two, are doing really well right now, is developing their patience behind the line and waiting for that hole to open up. If it's not quite there yet, it'll be there. It's going to close quickly, but it'll be there. Just wait, find your hole, and go. But last night, watching him work, man, how excited were you watching Jahmyr Gibbs do his thing?
Well, unlike the playoffs, I didn't pass out from screaming, which was awesome, because I actually did pass out during the playoffs last year, screaming on one of Jahmyr Gibbs' touchdowns. And dude, the kid is just electric. Everybody made fun of Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions for taking this kid at number 12. And you know what? If we wouldn't have moved down to 12, I think we would have taken him at 6 or wherever we were at. And I wouldn't have batted an eye of us taking him at 6 either. I do think he's better than Bijan Robinson, and I think he's proven that he's better than Bijan Robinson. And that's the one everybody comps him to, because Bijan went right ahead of him. And he is worth every single penny when it comes to his 5th-year option and his next contract. He's going to be worth every penny.
Yeah, so next season is season 3. So that's one of my comments for this guy. So we're only in season 2. Imagine where he's going to be in season 3. It's awe-inspiring to see how incredible he has already been in such a short amount of time. Let me unpin this message up here. So if you guys go back and look, I think I did a short, or I did a truck. I think I did a truck episode where it was before the draft, and I just had this premonition one day. I'm driving, I'm like, I got to record this. I said, you know what? I think if the Lions pass on 6, they're going to surprise us, and they're going to take Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12. I said that. I predicted it, and it happened. The receipts are on the YouTube. I promise you. Jahmyr Gibbs was the only running back that I wanted. Of course, Bijan made sense. And I thought that the Lions were in the market for a running back. Nobody believed me. Matter of fact, everybody thought the Lions were crazy taking him at 12, just like Eric said. And I didn't. If you were to redraft right now, why would you have taken Jahmyr Gibbs number 1? Now, I don't remember all the players that went before him. I know that Bijan went at number 8. But I don't know who else went, early in that draft too. If we were to do a redraft, where is Gibbs going to end up today? And then looking at what he's doing, why wouldn't he be number 1? You know what I mean? Just running backs don't get taken that early.
Yep. Oh, man, Gibbs. And this is something that I can't remember who brought it up. Maybe somebody at the game or whatever. They were saying, now, had David Montgomery not gotten hurt, Gibbs wouldn't be putting up these monster numbers because he'd be sharing the backfield still. So this makes the whole rest of this season that much more incredible that he was sharing a backfield 50-50 with another guy for the entire season until the last couple of games. And now they're saying, you don't ever wish injury on anyone, but when an injury happens to the guy in front of you and you have to step up, sometimes you're better than the guy that you replace. And that's kind of what's happening here with Gibbs, is what the guy was talking about, that possibly this is showing that Gibbs is way better when you give him a few more touches. You get him up around 20 and he's absolutely incredible. And what does that mean for Montgomery next season or later in the playoffs?
Yeah. Well, I will say this. Sometimes when a player goes down, and look, I think we would all love David Montgomery to come back, and I've got some hot news on David Montgomery actually here just a moment. Mm-hmm. The thing about learning about your team, it becomes really apparent really quick when you've got guys that are waiting, Craig Reynolds, guys that have been here and been waiting, Jeremiah Jefferson, but your front runner, the guy that you just took in the draft at number 12 last season, he's ready. And a lot of us were talking last season, hey, can he run through the tackles? We're just not seeing a whole lot through the tackles. Why is Montgomery getting the ball, on all the short downs? And there was just a lot of conversation. Like, it was kind of slow to grow with Gibbs last year, and it kind of raised some eyebrows and some questions. And it was more or less, I think, just getting Gibbs comfortable in the system. Because now when you look, he can do everything. It doesn't matter where the play is called. He'll take the ball in any hole. Doesn't matter. You put him out wide, you put him in the slot, you run him out of the backfield, you put him in, any sort of a situation, and he's excelled. He has 1,412 yards this season, 5.6 yard average, and 20 TDs. According to, no, I'm sorry, we must be missing a game. No, we're not missing a game. 20 TDs on the season, 16 on the ground.
Incredible.
So, and to your point, you're mixing it up with Montgomery. And what are Montgomery's stats? He's over 1,000 too, right? Or no, he's short.
All scrimmage yards, he had 1,000 with receiving.
Yeah, but he had 775 on the ground. So you tack those 775 to Jahmyr Gibbs. Well, he would crush the rushing record.
Yeah.
You know who Jahmyr Gibbs reminds me of? Chris Johnson, but better.
Yeah.
Chris Johnson, but better. You give Jahmyr Gibbs the primary carries, and you let him just be a number 1 back for a season, he will crush the record. He might even be able to do it split in the backfield. I don't know. He's that good.
Yeah. I wonder how many more carries Saquon had than Gibbs.
We can find out real quick.
There you go.
There you go.
You're good at looking stuff up. I suck.
I just Google it, man, and then it gives me an idea. So here we go. Oh, it's not even close. 345 carries.
Okay.
To Gibbs is 250. So he had a full 95 more carries than Gibbs.
Times what?
And he gained about 600 yards more on those 95 carries.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you took Gibbs' average times 95 carries, there you go.
95 times what? 5.6.
Yep.
Was 14. What was that? How many yards did he have? He had 14, 12. Yeah, so that would have put him just short. He'd have 1944 based on his average. But, you know, who knows how many more. You know, Andy missed it. Did he miss a game this year? No, he didn't miss a game. But he had a couple of very, very light games in here. But anyway, Gibbs is that guy, man. Gibbs is ready to roll out. Oh, that's going to be my new song for the rest of the year, man. Luda's got it right on. The Lions are ready to roll out, and they're going to roll out here in a couple of weeks. They're going to take on whoever they're going to take on, and they're going to continue to roll out and back to Ford Field because we have home field advantage for the rest of the season until we get to the Super Bowl. Eric, let's talk about tickets because Eric was purchasing tickets just before we got on the show. If you guys have not looked at the price of tickets,
it's insane.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So what happened to you?
I think I got something worked out, so I'm probably going to sell that ticket that I bought because I just had my buddy Gary. He has season tickets. He's got 4 of them, and he's going to give me an amazing deal, tickets at cost for 2 of them for both the divisional and the NFC Championship game.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I just got to sell this ticket I bought. I don't even care if I sell it at a $100 loss or something. Just get out of it and get into these other tickets because it's way, way worth it. It's lower bowl, end zone. Hell yeah.
Talk to me off air. We might figure something out.
Yeah.
All right. So standing room only right now is $652 per ticket, and this is on StubHub. $652 per ticket, and the fees, I'm sure, are going to be crazy.
Mine were $200 and something, almost $290 for one ticket.
$290?
Yep, because I bought one ticket. It was $900, and it ended up being $1,192.
Well, if you remember what I said a few weeks ago, that the Lions are the ones that are setting the rates as far as the fees. And it's crazy that they're making this much money on fees. It's absolutely crazy. It's not even letting me get to the fees portion without putting a card in. I'm just not going to do that because my luck, I'll end up purchasing something I don't need.
Yeah. If anybody wants one ticket, I got one for sale.
There you go.
Division round.
Looking at the NFC Championship game. The cheapest tickets right now in the NFC Championship game, as of today, are $1,045 in the upper section in the 300s. $1,045 plus fees. So you're probably talking $1,500 a ticket.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's not cool. It's going to be the most expensive playoff games, I think, in history of the NFL.
In history. Oh, yeah. Dude, there's Super Bowls that weren't this expensive. Seriously.
So that's the thing. If you even think you want to go to the Super Bowl, you better buy a ticket now at $5,000 because by the time the Lions get there, those tickets are going to be tripled.
No, I've already made up my mind. I am going to Ford Field to the watch party because they're going to have one and they're going to sell 65,000 seats to that thing. Because why wouldn't you?
Oh, dude, this is once in a lifetime opportunity. I gotta be there.
No, dude, I don't have another kidney.
I got an extra one.
I just sold mine to get these tickets. Oh man!
All right, what's up next here?
JMO.
Let's talk about JMO.
So JMO, I had some high expectations of him coming into this season.
Mm-hmm.
And he started out with a bang, doing really good. And then he gets suspended for something stupid. Then he gets all these flags for doing stupid stuff. and he gets fined. But you know what he did yesterday? He ended up with 1,001 yards. Just like I said in the preseason, I predicted 1,000 yards from good old Mr. J-Mo, and he hit it.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And missed 2 games. Dude, if you'd have told me in the beginning of the season, Jameson Williams is going to lose 2 games to suspension, and he's still going to hit 1,000 yards, I wouldn't have believed it.
No, I wouldn't have either. I mean, I thought that 80 receptions and 800 yards was a good floor for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't think that he couldn't hit 1,000. I just thought that's the floor. Like, that's the minimum I needed to see from J-Mo. But then that kind of changed because once you saw what he would do with just 3 or 4 receptions, 130 yards, it's like, okay, he doesn't need 80, but he needs at least 800 plus to at least show us that he can do it. And not only can he do it, J-Mo's going to be special. As long his next year of growth, his next year of maturity, he's going to be 1 year older next year after the Lions, do the thing this year. I'm expecting extremely big things out of J-Mo next year, like competing big time with Amon-Ra for touches and yards gained and touchdowns. Like, they're going to be 2 peas in a pod, in a good sense. I think they're going to be competing. I don't think that there's ever going to be a rift between what he does and what Amon-Ra does or how many targets each gets. They just want to win. They just want to win ball games. That's all they want to do. So I think next year is going to be an extremely fun year to watch J-Mo, but we're not done with this year yet, so I'm not going to forecast too much.
Yeah. Well, the thing with J-Mo too, you have some games where he has 3 catches for 150 yards, and then the next game he's got 9 catches for 24 yards, getting all this dink and dunk little stuff over the middle and getting the tough yards, man. There's some of them throws that Goff puts him in harm's way, and he stands in there and takes it like a man every single time. That's the one thing I think he's really grown in is he had a 40% drop rate the first year, something like 20% last year, and then like 3% this year. I think he's dropped 1 or 2 balls the whole year.
It's a drastic change. It's a drastic change compared to what he was doing in his first year. So there was a little interesting commentary on, what was this? Get Up ESPN. I probably shouldn't even play it, but we're going to play it. If I've got to trim it out later, that's fine. But I just wanted to listen, to what they said. You've got Greeny on here, Orlovsky on here, Rex Ryan. So let's switch over here and take a listen to what these guys are talking about. You guys should have audio right away. Let me know if you don't.
If the Lions play like that, particularly on defense, the Lions are going to be in New Orleans representing the NFC in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Lions were absolutely, let me tell you this, Aaron Glenn was in his bag last night defensively. The way he mixed up coverages, the way he brought pressure, made Sam Darnold speed up. Because Sam Darnold has had an absolutely tremendous year. But Sam Darnold was uncomfortable all night long. And here's what really impressed me the most in the red zone. The money zone, as we like to call it. Okay, Himbo always throws out great things. This Detroit Lions defense, they only gave up 6 points on 4 drives in the red zone. You want to talk about, you want to win a championship? Then you hold down teams when it matters the most in the red zone. Aaron Glenn put his resume on display last night.
So that was just this short clip. Of course, I want to hear the rest of it, which you guys can go and find out on Get Up. Listening to what Rex Ryan said was also it's also pretty good. Rex has been a huge supporter of the Detroit Lions this year. But let me give you guys a key stat that I took away from last night, or a couple of things. Number one, the Vikings botched kickoff, right? You give the Lions the ball at the 40-yard line, couple of quick strikes, you go in, you steal 3 points. Like that is beautiful work by Dan Campbell and the rest of that squad to go in and know the assignment that it's right now. We have to go in and take these points and get it done and get out of the half. And that's what they did. It was extremely good call clock management, everything else they were doing in that situation there to make sure that they could end up with a few points or a shot at the end zone. They just didn't get deep enough to take another shot at the end zone. They didn't have enough time. So taking the points was smart. I think Dan Campbell would normally have probably taken a shot at the end zone there, but he took the points. And earlier in the game, like I said, that first touchdown for Jahmyr Gibbs, it does not happen if Dan Campbell doesn't continually go for this on fourth down, and you're already putting that, in the Vikings' head. And what does Jared Goff do on one of the other, opportunities? Gets him to jump offside. The hard count, Jared Goff, his cadence, what he was doing last night, on point. So Dan Campbell has been setting up all of these teams to think that we're going for it, no matter what. And without getting that first down at that one point where Jared Goff had him, jump off sides, maybe we don't get that touchdown either. So Dan's been setting them up. To the point that they just made on Get Up, 4 trips into the red zone for the Vikings, they don't come away with any touchdowns. Matter of fact, they had the Vikings in the red zone. I think it was below the 10-yard line on 3 occasions, 11 snaps, no points. 11 snaps, no points. And how many times did the refs try to give them more and more and more and more opportunity? Again, I'm not going to go into the refs today because I'm going to save that for a video and video evidence. It's going to be just as good as the Bounty Gate video. I promise you, it's going to be really good showing people what these refs were doing. I'll give you a hint. I saw the ball move quite a few times where it was set and then moved and then set and then moved. So there's some interesting things that were happening last night. But anyway, defense, Eric, putting these Vikings in the red zone underneath the 10-yard line. They drive all the way down and we lock them down. What did you see from, you were to the right of me, I think, but what did you see or what did you notice that just either was working for us or not working for the Vikings?
Well, it was straight up man. And when we got down to the end zones, there was no more zone. This was man on man, mano-y-mano, and we rushed an extra person or two. We didn't have that deep safety person. That was Melifonwu or Branch, and they were up in the box. And they were putting the pressure on good old see and go Sam Darnold every friggin' play. And what was awesome was when the edges, when they would crash towards Sam Darnold, they weren't going past him. They were going about a yard or two deep and then straight in across the line of scrimmage. So if Sam tried to run to their left or their right, they had him. And it just worked so beautifully that we weren't trying to over pursue getting to Sam Darnold with our edges. And it was a thing of beauty last night. And I can't believe, well, I can believe, because we've had a really good third down and a really good red zone defense this year. And you know how I hate the bend it but don't break, let them get all the way down there. And then we stiffen up for some reason. The first half kind of seemed like that last night. And then the second half was just lock them down. It was awesome. We allowed them to score 3 points in the second half. In the first quarter, we locked them out. In the fourth quarter, we locked them out.
I mean, I felt like we were locking them down pretty much from the jump. I mean, there was a couple of passes here and there in that first half, but I mean, Jefferson didn't do squat last night.
No.
I mean, nobody did for the Vikings. I mean, let's just take a look here. Outside of Cam Akers, he had 158-yard long, rush. He had 65 yards on the night. Yep. So he gained 7 yards on the other 5 carries. Aaron Jones, he had a long of 8, but he rushed 10 times for 45 yards. He averaged 4.5. Sam Darnold, he rushed 3 times for 10 yards. And those 3 rushes, I mean, those were sacks. Like, we had them dead to rights, and either we missed it, missed the tackle, or he somehow got out. Those 3 rushes were not obviously by design. He was able to evade somehow the sack and the pressure, which was nuts. Jefferson had 3 receptions, 54 yards. Naylor had 3 receptions, 53 yards. Aaron Jones, 5 receptions for 30 yards. In all, Sam Darnold was 18 of 41, 166 yards, a 17.4 QBR, a 55.5 QB rating, passer rating, took 2 sacks. He averaged 4 yards a pass.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of Jared Goff week 2 against Tampa.
Rough night. I don't remember all the stats in that game.
Yeah, remember he threw 1,000,000 times. We hardly ran the ball at all.
I think we put it up 51 times in that game.
Yeah, it was crazy how many times he threw the ball in that game. And that's very similar to last night. And them trying to copy us on the 4th down thing, man. Yeah, they're not built for it. When you don't do it all the time and you decide, oh, we're going to be like Dan Campbell and try to go for it on every 4th down. It don't work that way. 0 for 4.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have a choice, man. When you're down a lot of points, you've got to do something to try to get yourself back up, on your feet. And every time they got up on their feet, Amik Robertson just smacked him in the mouth.
Yeah.
Somebody smacked him in the mouth. Man, Amik played so incredibly well last night. I mean, they all did.
Yeah.
But
before this game, I had no clue that Amik Robertson and Justin Jefferson had played against each other in high school, college, and the pros. I had no clue.
Why do you think that it was the call of a lifetime last week with Thor that I said you put Amik on Jefferson?
Yeah, there you go.
So I mean, you got that much knowledge about the guy, right? You know what gets underneath his skin.
Yeah.
I mean, that first jam, like I said earlier in the show, that first jam where Amik got his hands up underneath his chin, he probably didn't care if he got a flag. I think that the goal was you set the tone right now. And you set the tone, either you're going to get a flag or you're not. You're going to see what these refs are going to react to. Are they going to let you play? Are they going to let you play with a little bit of violence, or are they not? And so it was immediately get up underneath this guy's skin, get in his head. And once you're there, you pop a lawn chair and you dig in with a Corona or whatever for the rest of the game. You stay in his head. And that's what Amik did all game long. Incredible. Alex Anzalone last night, 7 tackles, 3 solo, 1 pass defense, 1 QB hit. Sorry, I got the yawns. Game ball. First game back, played out of his mind. Kirby Joseph, same thing. Phenomenal game. Brian Branch, phenomenal game. Jack Campbell, Meek Robertson, Zadarius Smith getting a sack on his former team. Everybody was just playing lights out. Al-Qadim Muhammad got a sack last night. I know the DJ Reader was upset last night sitting on the bench. I could see him. I was watching him. He was pissed off last night because he wasn't getting a sack. He was so close so many times, and he was getting held quite often, but it all worked out in the end. But he wanted to get a sack so bad in that game, you could see it. Excellent game. I really don't have much else. Today was just going to be kind of a quick show, say hi to everybody, kind of give you some thoughts, a little bit of commentary on the game last night. I will say this. But last night really reinvigorated, I guess, what I think about this defense right now. Before the game, like I said, I know we have some holes. I'm a little bit concerned, with the holes that we do have. And we didn't know, really, what Alex Anzalone was going to be. We had no idea if this was going to take a game, if it was going to take half a game, a quarter, 2 quarters. We had no idea. Or was he not going to be able to, play that well at all? Was he going to come into the game and get re-injured? We had no idea. And the fact that he's back and the way that he played last night, man, it's like they're all connected to Alex, because every player played just with such dominant, vicious fever last night. I mean, they were all on it. So they're back. Are we going to still get a couple more guys back? Possibly. Carlton still has an outside chance. And I'll end with this. David Montgomery. Let me find my note here. Where's my note?
While you're looking for your note,
sure.
After last night's game, the Lions jumped to number 1 in Super Bowl odds. We are plus 280 to win the Super Bowl. And the Lions jumped to number 1 at plus 155 to make it to the Super Bowl from the NFC.
I don't know where my note is.
Uh-oh.
So I'm just going to go ahead and say this, but I'm just going to paraphrase because I don't have my note, and I don't know why I don't have my note. Montgomery was asked last night how he was doing. And from what I understand, in the way that he was working out, he felt the best that he has ever felt up to last night. And there is a great possibility with a giant smile that was on his face when he answered whoever he answered. I can't remember who he talked to.
Mm-hmm.
That he's going to be back when the Lions come off their bye.
Yep.
So that's the word that Montgomery's coming back just after the bye, that he's feeling great. His rehab has gone extremely well. So that's great news, but I'm not worried. I'm not worried whether we have him back or we don't. I think that we are so deep right now in that position. We haven't even seen Sione Vaki really, right? And we know that he can tote the rock too. We've got 5 running backs on this team. And right now, 3 of them have been used quite a bit. Jeremiah Jefferson's been getting some snaps, and they've all done well. So I'm not really worried if he can't make it back or if something else does happen, which I hope it doesn't. I'm just expecting him to do what's best for him. But if he does get back, it's just more firepower for this team. It's going to be fun to watch. All right, on to the next one, man. I'll try to get back on tonight. That's the plan. And then back at the Rise and Grind morning show tomorrow morning. We have 2 weeks, roughly, about 13 days before our next game, depending on where we slot up on the divisional round.
Yep.
So we're going to have a lot of time to get some things in, have some conversations. And there's going to be a little bit of dead air, but I think we're going to have some more conversations popping up here because you've got coaches that are going to be doing interviews. And we have draft stuff. The one thing that I haven't seen yet is Calais Campbell. Has he been released yet? Is he going to be released?
I haven't seen nothing.
I haven't seen anything. So keep your ears to the ground on that one, Eric. If you see something, let me know.
I will.
You guys have a great day. I'll get more into the chat tomorrow morning. I'm exhausted. It's been a long night. I know Eric has got to be way more tired than me. I'm surprised he didn't fall asleep during the show.
I'm doing pretty good.
So 16 energy drinks later.
Yeah, I'm gonna end the show with this right here. Can you guys see all those W's?
There you go. 15-2. Great call, Eric. Great call. We needed it. We needed your call.
This was preseason before we even started. I had these little notes that I wrote every single game down, the over under, how much we were favored by or we were not favored by, where we were playing home and away, and then my prediction. And I predicted 15-2. I just got the games wrong. I predicted we were going to lose to the Texans and the 49ers. Well, we beat the Texans and the 49ers.
Hey, the only thing that matters is we got there, man.
Yeah, we got
15-2 was my call last year. And then I went 13-4, and that's where we ended up. But 15-2 was my big call last year. I thought that we would be able to get there, but we didn't. So didn't happen. Great job, Eric. I'm going to be ready, just like Luda is, to see you guys in the next one.
Hear them voices rising high. Every morning, feel that passion, let it fly. Talking about the Lions, blue and silver pride. With the podcast, we're rolling, take that ride. Rise and grind, Detroit's calling out. Yeah. Football dreams in every shout. Tune in, feel the energy ignite. Oh, rise and grind, take flight. Each play, each kick, we feel alive. Echoes in the city as the plans arrive. Heart of the motor in the screen. We're bound together by football dreams. Rise and grind, Detroit's calling out. Yeah. Football dreams in every shout. Tune in. crowd's electrified. There under the stadium lights, where legends thrive. Every touchdown we're close to clock west. In Detroit we stand. Give it out there. Rise and grind, Detroit's calling out. Football dreams in every shop.